Hey, it's Keddy here at LePage Truro Real Estate, and this is the real estate report for June 2024. Now, all the data that we're going to be going through in this month's newsletter is coming at us from NSAR, that's the Nova Scotia Association of Realtors, and it is current up until the end of May, which is the most recent month that we have data for. Now, we're going to be going through some key metrics, including average price, new listings, percent of list price, days on market, and lastly, months of supply. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what each of those means. So the first number, and one of the most important ones that people are usually interested in if they are thinking about buying or selling, is what is the average price for the area. Now, the average price surged in May, went up to $380,134, and that was up from $351,000 the month before. Were there key fundamentals changing in the marketplace? Well, some people are, citing interest rates and things like that, but one of the biggest things is just seasonal demand. We often see a surge in interest, more buyers enter the market as we get into the spring. We also see people who have been sitting on the sidelines all through the winter suddenly put their properties on the market, and that is where the prices fell for that month. Now, the next thing is new listings. Now, new listings also surged last month. It was up to 86 from 59 the previous month. And so that's a nice increase. And again, very consistent with what we would typically see for the time of the year. Now, as far as percent of list price, so that's the percent that people are getting relative to what they're asking. Interestingly enough, we did see a slight drop last month. Now, why is that? Part of it could be that we had more listings hitting the market, so just the demand wasn't quite as high as I'm sure some people were hoping for that were selling their properties, but still it was a very slight decrease. It went down to 98.1% from the previous month, which was at 99.4%. So still very close to asking price. Now, if you're selling right now, what that means is that you should be expecting there might be a little bit of negotiation on your property when it hits the market. There's going to be fewer times where you're getting over ask bids, and so you want to price accordingly for that. And also you don't take it personally if you get an offer that's a couple percent under the list price. Now, as far as days on market actually went down, which again is consistent with seasonal demand. As we see more buyers in the market, they're picking up all the houses that are for sale. So it went down to 32 from the previous month, which was 40. So that's an average of 32 days on market. Now, the key thing there, if you're selling your property, don't be panicking if it does not sell in the first few days. In fact, a couple weeks on market is not unusual. And once you have a contract in place on your property, it's typically another couple of weeks before the property is actually considered sold. So that's when you have a firm and legally binding agreement on the property. Days on market, about a month. That means if you have listed at a certain price and around that month or so on market, you haven't really gotten any offers, your property is not under contract, not generating the kind of interest, that's a time frame where you might want to start thinking about price adjustments. So that is a very important number for you to know. If you're on the buying side, it also means you shouldn't be coming in and saying, oh, that property's been on the market for 2 weeks and there's no offers on it, so there must be something wrong with it. It's just the way the market is right now. Okay, so that means that we're not going to want to come in on the buying side and offer a super lowball offer just because the property has been on the week, and we're hoping that the buyer is going to jump at that because there's something finally on the table. All right, now the last number that I want to talk about is the months of supply. Now, for most people, months of supply is probably one of the most confusing numbers we talk about, but it's a really important metric. It tells us whether we're in a buyer's or a seller's market. And the key thing is that we've been seeing that number steadily creep up. Now, when we were in the height of the frenzy, if you want to call it that, a couple of years ago, the months of supply was actually under 1, which meant it was a crazy time to be in the market. Things were selling really fast and there were multiple offers, and they were, more often than not, they were over the listing price. But what we're seeing is that number is creeping up to more of a balanced market. Now, I'm sure on the selling side, some people aren't loving that, but it's actually kind of nice that things have slowed down a little bit, that people can now breathe throughout the transaction, because in the past that was just not the case, especially the last couple of years. So it's up to 3.2, which is edging closer and closer to a balanced market. So still in favor of the sellers, but not not as aggressively in favor of the sellers as it was a couple of years ago. That's where we're at, and that was actually a slight increase over the previous month. That's the market right now, the market snapshot as of the end of May. Again, fantastic time to be selling. Increasingly a better time to be buying than we've seen in a few years. And if you have questions about the real estate market, if you have questions about buying, selling, picking up an investment property, I'd be happy to have a chat with you about how we can help you reach your real estate goals. If you want to book an appointment with me, hop on over to andrewkeddy.com. Fill out the form to book a free, no obligation real estate review, and we can chat about how it can help you reach your goals. I'll see you in the next newsletter.